Yunjin lived alone on the edge of Vairith, a planet filled with strange creatures and even stranger skies. The ground was red, the trees glowed faintly at night, and the air carried a soft hum that never stopped. To most people, it was a beautiful place, but to Yunjin, it felt empty. She had always been different. Her kind, the Zalthari, were known for their telepathic powers. They could share thoughts, feelings, and memories just by touching someone's mind. It made them special, admired by others. Everyone, except Yunjin. She couldn't connect like they did. No matter how hard she tried, her attempts to bond with others ended in silence, or worse, confusion. Because of this, the Zalthari rejected her. They said she was broken, useless. Over time, she stopped trying to fit in. Now, she spent her days fixing old machines she found in the ruins near her home. It was something she was good at, even if no one noticed. One day, while working on a broken drone she discovered, Yunjin heard footsteps behind her. She froze. Footsteps didn't belong here. This part of Vairith was deserted. Slowly, she turned around and saw a man standing a few meters away. He looked human, with dark hair and curious eyes. He held a small device in his hand, scanning the area. Yunjin frowned. Humans weren't rare on Vairith. They came often to study its resources, but they usually stayed far from places like this. What was he doing here? The man seemed startled when he noticed her watching him. "Oh," he said, lowering the device. "I didn't mean to disturb you." Yunjin didn't respond. She simply stared, unsure what to do. Humans spoke differently than the Zalthari. Their words were slower, simpler. Sometimes, she struggled to understand them. "I'm Heijun," the man continued, taking a step closer. "I'm part of a research team. We're studying energy patterns in this region." Still, Yunjin said nothing. She glanced down at the drone in her hands, then back at him. His presence made her uneasy. After a moment, she turned away and went back to work, pretending he wasn't there. Heijun hesitated, but didn't leave. Instead, he watched her as she carefully adjusted wires inside the drone. "That's impressive," he said after a while. "You seem to know what you're doing." Yunjin ignored him. She didn't care about his opinion. Once the drone was fixed, she powered it on. Its lights blinked to life, and its rotors began spinning softly. Satisfied, she stood up and started walking away. "Wait," Heijun called out. "Can I ask you something?" Yunjin stopped but didn't look back. "What?" she asked flatly. "Why are you out here all alone? Don't you have family or friends nearby?" Her jaw tightened. There was a pause before Heijun spoke again. "Well, thanks for letting me watch you work. I'll go now." As he walked away, Yunjin felt a flicker of irritation. Why had he come so close only to leave? Humans were strange. She shook her head and kept moving, putting distance between herself and the encounter. Over the next few days, Yunjin noticed Heijun more often. He would appear near the ruins, always scanning or jotting notes in a small book. Sometimes, he brought tools with him and tinkered with machines he found. Unlike her, though, he wasn't very skilled. More than once, she saw him struggle with repairs she could have done easily. One afternoon, curiosity got the better of her. She approached him while he was crouched over a damaged panel. "You're doing it wrong," she said bluntly. Heijun looked up, surprised. "Oh, hi. What am I doing wrong?" Without waiting for permission, Yunjin knelt beside him and pointed to the wiring. "These connections are loose. If you tighten them, it might work." He handed her the tool he was using. "Do you want to try?" For a moment, she considered refusing. But something about the way he looked at her, like he genuinely trusted her, made her nod. Carefully, she adjusted the wires until the panel lit up with a soft glow. "It works," Jun exclaimed, smiling. Thank you. Yoonjin shrugged. It's easy. Well, not for me, he admitted. I'm still learning. They sat in silence for a while, Jin inspecting other parts of the machine, while Jun observed. Eventually, he broke the quiet. Why do you fix these things? She paused, thinking. Because it's something I can do. That's a good reason, he said softly. Then, after a beat, do you ever feel lonely out here? Jin stiffened. No. Jun didn't press further. Instead, he changed the subject. If you ever need help or company, you can find me at the research station. It's not far from here. She didn't reply. When she finished examining the machine, she stood and walked away without another word. Despite her aloofness, Jun kept showing up. Each time, he brought something small, a piece of fruit, a shiny gadget, or a tool she might find useful. At first, Yoonjin ignored his offerings, leaving them untouched where he placed them. But gradually, she began accepting them, though she never thanked him. One evening, as the sky turned deep purple, Yoonjin spotted Jun watching her from afar. She was tending to an injured bird-like creature she'd found earlier. Its wing was bent, and it chirped weakly as she bandaged it. Jun didn't approach this time. He simply stood there, observing silently. When Yoonjin finally looked up, their eyes met briefly. There was no judgment in his gaze, only kindness. For the first time in years, she felt seen not as an outcast, but as someone who mattered. After that, things shifted subtly. Yoonjin found herself looking forward to seeing Jun, even if she didn't admit it. And though she still kept her distance, she couldn't deny that his presence made the emptiness around her feel just a little less heavy. The days passed slowly on Varith. But Yoonjin's routine began to change. Jun kept visiting the ruins, always bringing small gifts for her. Sometimes it was food wrapped neatly in leaves. Other times it was tools or spare parts she might need. At first, Yoonjin didn't think much of it. She accepted the items without saying anything, keeping her distance as usual. But over time, she started noticing how thoughtful his choices were. He brought things that matched her needs perfectly, as if he had paid close attention to what she did. One morning, Yoonjin found a shiny new wrench lying near the spot where she usually worked. She picked it up and examined it closely. It was sturdy and well made, exactly the kind she needed for her repairs. For a moment, she wondered how Jun knew she'd been struggling with her old, worn-out tool. Then she shook her head, reminding herself not to care too much. Humans were strange creatures, always trying to fix things, even people they barely knew. Later that day, Jun appeared again. He greeted her with a smile, pointing at the wrench in her hand. "I thought you might like that," he said casually. Yoonjin frowned. "Why do you keep giving me things?" Jun shrugged. "Because I can, and because you seem to use them." She looked away, unsure how to respond. No one had ever given her anything without expecting something in return. The Zalthari certainly hadn't. They only helped each other if it benefited them somehow. Even her own family had abandoned her when they realized she couldn't bond telepathically like everyone else. But Jun, he didn't ask for anything. Not yet, anyway. "Thank you," she muttered finally, surprising herself. It was the first time she had thanked anyone in years. "You're welcome," Jun replied, his smile widening. After that, their interactions became less awkward. Yoonjin still didn't talk much, but she no longer avoided him completely. They worked side by side sometimes, fixing machines or exploring the ruins together. Jun asked questions about Varith's history. And though Yoonjin rarely answered directly, she occasionally shared bits of knowledge she had learned growing up. One afternoon, while digging through the rubble of an ancient structure, Yoonjin uncovered something unusual. It was a small metal box, covered in strange symbols. She ran her fingers over it, feeling its weight. Whatever it wasn't like the other artifacts she had found before. "What is it?" Jun asked, leaning closer. "I don't know," Yoonjin admitted. It looks old. Haejun reached out to touch it, but she pulled it back quickly. He raised his hands in surrender. Okay. Okay. Just curious. My. Yoonjin studied the box carefully, turning it over in her hands. The symbols seemed familiar somehow, though she couldn't place them. She decided to take it home and examine it later. Maybe it would reveal something useful, or maybe it was just another piece of junk. As they walked back toward the edge of the ruins, they encountered someone unexpected. Kyung-soo, another human from Haejun's research team. He stood blocking their path, his arms crossed, and his expression stern. Haejun, Kyung-soo said sharply. What are you doing out here? You've been missing for hours. I'm working, Haejun replied calmly. Kyung-soo glanced at Yoonjin, his eyes narrowing. And who's this? This is Yoonjin, Haejun said. She helps me with repairs. Kyung-soo snorted. Helps you? Looks more like you're wasting time playing around with some alien instead of focusing on our mission. Yoonjin bristled at his tone. She didn't like being called some alien, especially not in such a dismissive way. Before she could say anything, Haejun stepped forward. She's been very helpful, he said firmly. Without her, I wouldn't have been able to fix half the things I've brought back to the station. Kyung-soo rolled his eyes. Whatever. Just don't let the higher-ups hear about this. They won't be happy if they find out you're slacking off. With that, he turned and walked away, leaving Yoonjin and Haejun standing in silence. After a moment, Yoonjin spoke. You shouldn't defend me. It makes trouble for you. It's not trouble, Haejun said. I mean, what I said, you've been helping me. That's all there is to it. Yoonjin didn't reply. She wasn't used to people standing up for her, especially humans. Most of them treated aliens like inferior beings, even those who claimed to respect them. But Haejun, he acted differently. He treated her like an equal, like someone whose opinions mattered. That night, Yoonjin sat alone in her small hut, examining the metal box she had found earlier. She traced the symbols with her fingertips, trying to decipher their meaning. Something about them felt important, though she couldn't explain why. Eventually, exhaustion took over, and she set the box aside, deciding to look at it again in the morning. The next day, she returned to the ruins, hoping to find more clues. Haejun joined her as usual, but today, he seemed distracted. When she asked him what was wrong, he hesitated before answering. Kyung-soo reported me, he admitted. He told the team leader about my visits here. Now they're questioning whether I'm really contributing enough to the project. Yoonjin frowned. Is it because of me? No, Haejun said quickly. Well, maybe, partly, but it's not your fault. I chose to come here, and I'll deal with the consequences. For once, Yoonjin felt a pang of guilt. She hadn't meant to cause problems for him. If anything, she had assumed he would leave once things got complicated. Yet here he was, still showing up every day, still offering his help and his friendship. Maybe you should stop coming, she suggested quietly. It's safer for you. Haejun shook his head. I'm not going anywhere. Besides, I enjoy spending time with you. Whether or not anyone else understands, that's what matters to me. His words caught her off guard. No one had ever said anything like that to her before. Not the Zalthari, not her family, not even herself. Slowly, she nodded. Okay. Over the next few weeks, their bond grew stronger. Yoonjin began opening up more, sharing stories about her childhood and explaining the customs of the Zalthari. In return, Haejun told her about Earth, describing its blue skies, vast oceans, and bustling cities. Though their worlds were vastly different, they found common ground in their love for discovery and problem-solving. One evening, as they sat together under the glowing trees, Yoonjin noticed Haejun staring at her. What? She asked self-consciously. Nothing, he said, smiling. I'm glad we met. She looked away, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. It was an unfamiliar sensation, one she couldn't quite name, but for the first time, in a long time, she didn't feel completely alone. Yoonjin and Haejun's friendship deepened with each passing day. They spent hours together, exploring the ruins, uncovering artifacts, and piecing together fragments of Varith's ancient history. Yoonjin found herself looking forward to their time together, even though she still struggled to express her feelings openly. For his part, Haejun seemed content just to be near her, asking questions about her world and sharing stories about his own. One afternoon, while digging through a pile of rubble, Yoonjin unearthed something that made her heart race. It was another piece of the strange metal box she had found weeks earlier. This new fragment fit perfectly into the corner of the original box, completing part of its design. The symbols on it glowed faintly when she touched them, pulsing with energy. "What is that?" Haejun asked, leaning over her shoulder. "I don't know," Yoonjin admitted. "But it feels powerful." Haejun frowned. "Do you think it could be dangerous?" "Maybe," she said softly. "But I need to understand it first." They decided to take the box back to Yoonjin's hut, where they could examine it more closely. As they walked, Yoonjin couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. She glanced around nervously. But the glowing trees and red soil seemed empty. Still, the sensation lingered, making her uneasy. That night, as they studied the box by candlelight, Yoonjin noticed something unusual. When she pressed certain symbols in sequence, the box emitted a low hum, vibrating slightly in her hands. Haejun leaned closer, fascinated. "It's like some kind of machine," he whispered. "But what does it do?" Yoonjin wondered aloud. She traced the symbols again, trying to decipher their meaning. Suddenly, the box let out a sharp crackle, and a beam of light shot upward, projecting images onto the ceiling of her hut. The images showed scenes of destruction, cities crumbling, skies darkening, and creatures fleeing in terror. Yoonjin gasped, recognizing the landscapes as places on Varith. Whatever this device was, it held memories of the planet's past. "This must be a weapon," Haejun said grimly. "Something used during a war." Yoonjin nodded, her mind racing. If this was indeed a weapon, it could explain why her people had been ostracized. Perhaps the Zalthari had once played a role in creating or using it. No wonder they avoided the ruins. But why hadn't anyone told her? Before they could discuss further, a loud knock echoed at the door. Startled, Yoonjin quickly hid the box under a blanket. Haejun stood up and opened the door cautiously. It was Kyung-soo. His face was tense, and his eyes darted between Yoonjin and Haejun. "We need to talk," he said sharply. "What is it?" Haejun asked, stepping outside to block Kyung-soo's view of the hut's interior. Kyung-soo lowered his voice. "Word spreading about your little project. People are saying you found something valuable. A relic from the old wars." Haejun tensed. "Who told you that?" "It doesn't matter who told me," Kyung-soo snapped. "What matters is that others are interested now. Dangerous people. You can't keep this quiet forever." Yoonjin listened silently from inside the hut, her heart pounding. She knew Kyung-soo was right. If news of the box reached the wrong ears, it could put both her and Haejun in danger. Worse, it might reignite conflicts among the Zalthari and humans alike. After Kyung-soo left, Haejun returned to the hut, his expression troubled. "He's right," he said. "We can't stay here. We need to move the box somewhere safe." Yoonjin hesitated. "Where?" "There's nowhere on Varith that's truly safe." Haejun thought for a moment. "Then we'll have to leave the planet. Take it somewhere no one can find it." She stared at him, stunned. Leaving Varith had never been an option before. It was her home, even if it didn't feel like one. But staying meant risking disaster. Reluctantly, She nodded. Okay, let's do it. Over the next few days, they prepared carefully. Eun-jin packed supplies, while Hae-jun worked on securing passage off-world. They agreed to keep their plans secret, telling no one, not even Kyung-soo. The fewer people who knew, the better. As they worked, Eun-jin began to notice subtle changes in herself. She felt lighter somehow, less burdened by the weight of her isolation. Being with Hae-jun gave her a sense of purpose she hadn't felt in years. For the first time, she allowed herself to imagine a future beyond Vayrith, a future where she wasn't alone. But their preparations were interrupted one evening when a group of strangers arrived at Eun-jin's hut. They were Zalthari, members of an extremist faction within her clan. Their leader, a tall man with piercing eyes, introduced himself as Jae-wook. "We know what you've found," Jae-wook said coldly, "and we've come to reclaim it." Eun-jin stepped forward, clutching the box tightly. "This isn't yours," she said firmly. "It belongs to no one," Jae-wook sneered. "You dare speak to me like that? You, who are nothing but a broken relic yourself?" Hae-jun moved to stand beside Eun-jin, his presence steady. "Leave her alone," he said. "If you want the box, you'll have to go through us." For a moment, tension hung thick in the air. Then Jae-wook laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. "Very well. We'll see how brave you are when the truth comes out." With that, he turned and led his followers away, leaving Eun-jin and Hae-jun shaken but resolute. "They'll be back," Eun-jin said quietly. "And they won't stop until they get what they want." "Then we'll have to act fast," Hae-jun replied. "We'll leave tonight." As darkness fell over Vayrith, Eun-jin and Hae-jun set out toward the docking bay where their ship awaited. The journey was fraught with danger. They encountered patrols, avoided surveillance drones, and navigated treacherous terrain. Through it all, they relied on each other, their bond growing stronger with every step. Finally, they reached the ship. As they boarded, Eun-jin took one last look at Vayrith, her heart heavy with conflicting emotions. She was leaving behind everything she had ever known, but she wasn't leaving alone. Once inside, Hae-jun turned to her. "Are you ready?" Eun-jin nodded, clutching the box close. "Yes, let's go." As the ship lifted off, soaring into the star-filled sky, Eun-jin felt a spark of hope ignite within her. Whatever lay ahead, she knew she wouldn't face it alone. The ship soared through the vastness of space, leaving Vayrith far behind. Eun-jin sat silently in the passenger seat, her hands gripping the metal box tightly. She stared out the window at the endless stars, her mind heavy with thoughts of what they had left and what lay ahead. Hae-jun piloted the ship, his focus sharp as he navigated away from any possible pursuit. Neither of them spoke for a long time. The weight of their decision hung between them like an unspoken promise. They were fugitives now, running from both humans and Zalthari, who sought the mysterious artifact. But despite the danger, Eun-jin felt something she hadn't felt in years. Purpose. For the first time, she was doing something that mattered not just for herself, but for everyone on Vayrith. After hours of silence, Hae-jun finally broke it. "Are you okay?" he asked gently. Eun-jin glanced at him, her expression unreadable. "I don't know," she admitted. "I've never done anything like this before." Hae-jun smiled faintly. "You're doing great. We'll figure it out together." His words brought a small measure of comfort, though Eun-jin still couldn't shake the feeling of unease. What if they failed? What if the box fell into the wrong hands after all? She pushed the thoughts aside. Worrying wouldn't help now. All they could do was keep moving forward. As the hours passed, Eun-jin began examining the box again. Its symbols seemed to pulse faintly, as if alive. She traced them carefully, trying to understand their meaning. Each touch sent a shiver through her fingers, like the box was responding to her presence. "What are you thinking about?" Hae-jun asked, noticing her intent focus. "I'm trying to figure out how it works," Eun-jin replied. "If we can understand it, maybe we can destroy it, or at least make sure no one else can use it." Jun nodded. Good idea. Let me know if you need help. Jin didn't respond immediately. Instead, she pressed one of the glowing symbols experimentally. To her surprise, the box emitted a soft hum, and a holographic image appeared above it. The image showed a map of Vareth, marked with several points of interest. One location stood out, a massive structure buried deep beneath the surface. That must be where the weapon came from, Jun said, leaning closer to study the map. It looks like some kind of underground complex, Jin frowned. If we go back there, they'll find us. Not. We might not have a choice, Jun replied. If we want to stop anyone else from using the box, we need to deal with its source. Reluctantly, Jin agreed. They plotted a course to a remote area near the marked location, hoping to avoid detection. As they approached Vareth again, tension filled the air. Both knew the risks of returning, but staying away wasn't an option either. When they landed, they moved cautiously, sticking to shadows and avoiding open areas. The terrain was rough, dotted with jagged rocks and glowing plants. Jin led the way, her instincts guiding them toward the underground complex. Along the way, she noticed signs of recent activity tracks left by vehicles, discarded equipment, and even faint traces of energy readings. They're already here, Jin whispered, her voice tight with worry. Jun nodded grimly. We'll have to be careful. They reached the entrance to the complex, a massive door carved into the side of a cliff. It was sealed shut, but Jin quickly identified a control panel nearby. Using tools from her pack, she worked to bypass the lock. After several tense minutes, the door groaned open, revealing a dark passageway beyond. Inside, the air was cool and damp, carrying a metallic scent. The walls were lined with ancient carvings, depicting scenes of war and destruction. Jin felt a chill run down her spine as she realized these images matched the ones projected by the box. This place held secrets older than she had imagined. As they ventured deeper, they encountered resistance. A group of armed Zalthari appeared, led by Jae-wook. He sneered when he saw them. I knew you'd come back, he said triumphantly. Hand over the box, and maybe we'll let you live. Jin stepped forward, her voice steady despite the fear gnawing at her insides. This isn't yours to take. It belongs to no one. Jae-wook laughed bitterly. You think you're better than us? You're nothing but a traitor to your own kind. Before he could act, Kyung-soo suddenly emerged from the shadows, surprising everyone. He had followed them, tracking their movements, since they left the planet. His face was pale, his eyes wide with regret. Stop! Kyung-soo shouted, stepping between the two groups. This has gone too far. We can't let this weapon fall into anyone's hands. Not the Zalthari, not the humans. No one. For a moment, silence filled the chamber. Then Jae-wook growled, raising his weapon. Get out of the way, human. This doesn't concern you. Kyung-soo stood firm. It concerns everyone. If you use that weapon, you'll destroy everything, including yourselves. Jin seized the opportunity. While Jae-wook argued with Kyung-soo, she activated the box, causing it to emit a blinding flash of light. The distraction gave her and Jun enough time to slip past the guards and continue deeper into the complex. Eventually, they reached the heart of the facility, a massive chamber containing the weapon's core. It pulsed with energy, radiating waves of power that made Jin's skin tingle. She knew what she had to do. We need to destroy it, she said firmly. Jun hesitated. Are you sure? Once it's gone, there's no turning back. Jin nodded. It's the only way to end this. If we don't, someone else will use it, and Vareth will pay the price. Together, they worked to dismantle the core, using tools and knowledge gleaned from studying the box. The process was painstaking, requiring precision and patience. As they worked, shouts echoed through the tunnels behind them. Jae-wook and his followers were closing in. Finally, with seconds to spare, Unjin triggered the self-destruct mechanism. A loud alarm blared, and the ground began to shake. "Run!" she yelled. Grabbing Heijun's hand, they sprinted through the collapsing tunnels, narrowly avoiding falling debris. Behind them, explosions lit up the darkness, sealing off the weapon forever. When they burst out into the open air, they collapsed onto the ground, gasping for breath. It was over. The weapon was destroyed, and with it, the threat of war. Unjin looked at Heijun, tears streaming down her face. For the first time, she allowed herself to feel hope not just for herself, but for everyone on Veyrith. The explosion echoed across the landscape, shaking the ground beneath their feet. Smoke billowed from the entrance of the underground complex as Unjin and Heijun lay on the red soil, catching their breath. They had made it out just in time, but the weight of what they had done was still sinking in. Unjin sat up slowly, her body aching from the sprint and the effort of dismantling the weapon. She looked back at the ruins of the facility, now sealed off forever. Her heart felt heavy yet strangely light at the same time. The weapon was gone, its power wiped away, but so was any chance of proving her worth to the Zalthari. Not that it mattered anymore. She had chosen peace over pride, and for once, she didn't regret it. Heijun sat beside her, his face streaked with dirt, but his eyes bright with relief. "We did it," he said softly, breaking the silence. Unjin nodded, unable to find the words. For years, she had believed no one would ever choose her. Not her family, not her people, not even herself. But here was Heijun, standing by her side through everything, treating her like someone who mattered. It was more than she had ever hoped for. As the dust settled, Kyung-soo emerged from the smoke, coughing and staggering toward them. His clothes were torn, and his face was pale. But he managed a weak smile when he saw them. "You two are insane," he muttered, collapsing onto the ground beside them. "Why did you help us?" Unjin asked, her tone cautious. Kyung-soo sighed, running a hand through his disheveled hair. "Because I realized I was wrong about you and about this whole mess. I thought I was doing the right thing by reporting you, but all I did was make things worse. You saved Veyrith today. Both of you." His words caught Unjin off guard. She hadn't expected an apology, let alone gratitude. For a moment, she simply stared at him, unsure how to respond. Then she nodded slightly, accepting his words without comment. The three of them rested there for a while, watching as the smoke cleared, and the glowing trees swayed gently in the breeze. Eventually, Heijun broke the quiet. "What happens now? What happens now? What happens now?" Unjin hesitated. She hadn't thought beyond destroying the weapon. Returning to her old life felt impossible. Too much had changed. But she also didn't know where else to go, or who she could turn to. Kyung-soo spoke up. "You'll need to leave Veyrith. If the others find out what happened here, they'll come after you. And they won't stop until they get answers." Unjin frowned. Leaving again wasn't something she wanted to consider. But Kyung-soo was right. Staying meant risking everything they had worked for. Reluctantly, she nodded. "Okay. We'll leave." Heijun placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Wherever we go, we'll go together." His words brought a small measure of comfort. No matter what challenges lay ahead, Unjin knew she wouldn't face them alone. The journey to the nearest spaceport was quiet, each of them lost in their own thoughts. Unjin walked beside Heijun, her steps steady despite the uncertainty of their future. Along the way, they passed familiar landmarks, the ruins where they had first met, the glowing forests where they had spent countless evenings talking, the cliffs overlooking the endless red plains. Each sight stirred memories, both painful and precious. When they finally reached the ship, Unjin paused, looking back at Veyrith one last time. It was a place of beauty and pain, of rejection and redemption. Though she was leaving it behind, she carried its lessons with her. She turned to Heijun, her expression softening. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For what?" he asked, surprised. "For choosing me." Haejun smiled, taking her hand in his. "I didn't choose you because I felt sorry for you. I chose you because you're brave, smart, and stronger than anyone I've ever met." Tears welled up in Yoonjin's eyes, but she blinked them away. She wasn't used to hearing such kind words, especially about herself. Yet, they felt true, like pieces of a puzzle finally falling into place. Before boarding the ship, Kyung-soo approached them. He handed Eun-jin a small device. "Take this," he said. "It's a communicator. If you ever need help, or if you want to check in, I'll be here." Eun-jin accepted the device, nodding gratefully. Kyung-soo gave her a lopsided smile. "Stay safe, okay? And don't do anything stupid." She almost laughed. "I'll try." With that, Kyung-soo stepped back, watching as they boarded the ship. As the engines roared to life, Eun-jin took one final glance at him before turning her attention to the stars ahead. The ship soared through space, carrying them toward an unknown destination. Inside, Eun-jin sat by the window, staring at the endless expanse of stars. She felt a strange sense of freedom, a mix of excitement and fear about what lay ahead. For the first time in her life, she had control over her future. Haejun joined her, sitting quietly beside her. After a moment, he spoke. "Do you think you'll miss Varith?" After, Yoon-jin thought about it. "Yes," she admitted, "but not the way it was. Maybe someday, I'll go back, if things change." "They will," Haejun said confidently. "Because of you." She smiled faintly, leaning her head against his shoulder. Haejun chuckled. Not for a second. They sat in comfortable silence, watching as the stars blurred past. Eventually, Haejun cleared his throat. "There's something I've been wanting to ask you." Yoon-jin turned to look at him, curiosity flickering in her eyes. "What is it?" Haejun hesitated, then took a deep breath. "Will you be my wife?" Yoon-jin froze, her heart skipping a beat. She hadn't expected this, not now, not ever. Her mind raced, searching for the right answer. Finally, she found her voice. "Why me?" she asked softly. "No one has ever chosen me before." Haejun reached out, gently cupping her face in his hands. "Because you're everything I admire. Because you've shown me what it means to fight for what's right, even when it's hard. And because I love you." Tears streamed down Yoon-jin's face as she processed his words. Love. It was a concept she had struggled to understand, let alone believe in. Yet here it was, staring her in the face, undeniable and real. "Yes," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I will." Haejun's face lit up with joy as he pulled her into a tight embrace. For the first time in her life, Eun-jin felt truly loved and truly free. Days turned into weeks as their journey continued. Together, they explored new planets, met new people, and built a life far from the shadows of Varith. Along the way, Eun-jin discovered parts of herself she never knew existed. She learned to laugh, to dream, and to trust not just Haejun, but herself. One morning, as the sun rose over a distant planet, painting the sky in hues of gold and pink, Eun-jin stood beside Haejun, holding his hand. They watched the horizon together, silent but content. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them side by side. For the first time, Eun-jin felt like she belonged not to a place, but to someone. And that was enough.